everybody, it's Karen. Happy Saturday. How are you? Oh my goodness. So I'm just really encouraged with this codependency boot camp that we're having right now. And I just am really grateful for the people that signed up. It's brought up so many interesting issues and real life day-to-day questions that need to be answered. And there's so many of you that aren't in this boot camp but are living this today. And that is the life of a codependent. This life of wondering when the other shoe's going to drop. A lot of you have someone in your life who's battling to get sober and stay sober for a while and get your hopes up, and they're sober, and then you find out they're drinking. Somebody calls you, says they saw them in a bar, or work is called and told you, oh, they haven't been there for 4 days. This is it's really tough. And we take it for granted in the United States how much help we have here. I mean, I really don't think that we realize how lucky we are. If you're in the United States and you can get to an Al-Anon meeting, why don't you? A lot of people say, well, I don't want to go to Al-Anon, I don't want to go to Nar-Anon. You are so lucky to have it. I just really encourage you to go and to get some help, get some support. In other countries, alcoholism and addiction is not the same. It's not thought of as the same way. They're not quite as up to snuff as maybe Americans are as far as resources. And here, it seems like everywhere you turn, somebody or their brother or their coworker or somebody is suffering from alcoholism and addiction. So it's not that big of a taboo thing. But we really have to consider the people that are living in more rural areas that aren't in the United States. Even Canada seems to be a little more open-minded about it, but there are some places in the world, and I know this because I'm on social media now, so I'm talking to people all over the world. And they live in little rural towns and little communities. And it's really bad. I mean, it's a stigma on the family if somebody in the family is an alcoholic addict, and the partner ends up lying for them and trying to cover for them. And the children are affected because other children know, right? Because it's a small town, so everybody talks. And it's very difficult. And I think the only thing to move forward in this disease is to move forward. It means you have to take care of yourself. And if the neighbors and the friends find out, they find out. Because I'll guarantee you this, they have someone in their family too. The people that are talking and gossiping about you and your family and what a horrible wife you have because she's drunk again at the pub, they all have someone too. They're just not talking about it. The only thing different between your community and the community, let's say where I live in Palm Springs, where everybody's dirty laundry, gets thrown out there, is that we just, there's so much recovery here. So people are living out loud. And I'm afraid in some areas people aren't living out loud, and you need to live out loud. The reason you need to live out loud is because it's going to help others. If you are the person in the community and people are saying, hey, I heard your wife was down at the pub last night. You know what? Yeah, my wife's an alcoholic. We're having some struggles. Thanks for asking about us. You know what I mean? Because everybody does, and people need support, and you might be the person in your community that starts helping others, that lets the cat out of the bag. You don't want to embarrass your loved one. You don't want to make it impossible for them to get sober. But, I got a good story on that. So when I got drunk and relapsed after all those years, I had raised my daughter by myself, and all of a sudden I'm drunk, right? So I called her father. I was at the time I was as I told you in my little story about my relapse, I was doing quite well, and she was in private school. Private school in Southern California. Oh God, it was a lot of pressure. And it was a lot of pressure sober, but then I started drinking, and I knew it was going to get bad really, really fast. So I called her dad and I said, "Hey, you're going to have to take our daughter until I can get back and get sober." And he went to the school, and he was so pissed off, I think, that I dumped this kid with him who he'd never had to take care of. And he didn't mean it, but he was frustrated. He didn't know what to do. And so he told people were like, where'd Karen go? Well, she's a drunk. She's an alcoholic, and she relapsed, and she's left us. She's gone. And she's left me she dumped this kid off with me, and, he loves her very much. But he was like, oh my God, what am I going to do, right? He had never had to do this before. All of a sudden, Mr. Mom, right? So what that did was, it was, of course, a big gossip fest. But what happened was, when I got sober, and then I had to go back to that school, it made it really hard for me, because those women were not that nice to me. Like, one of them walked right up to me and said, "Hey, how dare you? Well, blah, 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 blah." And I thought, fuck off. I'm lucky I'm alive. I'm alive. I made it back. I'm trying my best. Back up, bitch. But I knew they were right. But it was horrible. So, hindsight 2020, I don't think her dad, and he and I are very good friends now, and he's very grateful I'm sober, and we work very hard we have a very good relationship, and, he knows I'm sick. He didn't really understand. He met me when I was sober, so he didn't know me drunk before. So, I don't blame him at all. But hindsight 2020, I think he wishes he wouldn't have said that stuff, because it made it hard on me, and it made it really hard on our daughter, because everybody knew. So I understand that kind of thinking, that you want to protect your children, and you do want to protect your children. And that's a whole different subject here. I'm going to do a separate one on that, on the children. But for right now, in your community, for you to be honest about what's happening in your home with people on a level, on a very, not a Mach 5 hair on fire. My God, my husband's a drunk. My wife's a drunk. My mother's a drunk. My kid's a heroin addict. But more like, we have a problem. We have a substance abuse problem in our family, and we're looking for help. And you won't believe the number of people that will tell you that they have a problem, right? And they want to talk to you about it. What are you doing for help? Where are you going for help? If there's no Al-Anon in your community, start one. There are other people that are hurting. You just might be the first one. Don't think you're the only one. You're the brave one. You're the one that's standing up and looking for some kind of treatment, some kind of solution. And there is a solution. And a lot of you are finding that right now in this codependency workshop. I know this is hard, this boot camp that we're doing. I know it's like challenging you. And some of you have made some pretty bold moves to reclaim your life. And you've got faith and trust, and you're doing the footwork. And I am so proud of you, and you will never regret it. And it's the best thing for your partner ever, or your child. I'm telling you, someday they will thank you for being able to do that kind of work for yourself so that they could get better. It's so crazy. It's hard to understand until you do it. And so you just have to do it. But you don't feel bad. If you're in a community where people don't talk about this, you might be the first, but you will not be the last. Okay? So just know that you're going to be able to help other people with this, even quietly and silently. People are going to watch you, and they're going to see what you do, and you're going to give them hope. Have a great day. Bye, guys.